transparently, I'm at a loss. And so I'm going to look to you and your questions, honey, so I can continue to work through this a little bit, because I'll tell you later what my knee-jerk reaction is, but I want to bring her some values. The plane that we're on is having turbulence, and things are getting real choppy. And the flight attendants told you in the beginning of the flight, if things get crazy and the cabin pressure, it dips, the masks are going to come out. So this is where I'm going to ask you, Jill, to stop trying to fix everyone around you. That's not your responsibility. Please stop chasing these people to fix things, because I'm asking you to make your brokenness priority one. And that means you are putting on the mask in order to get the oxygen you need so that you can effectively help other people around you. And I'll say this to you as well, Jill. As Jeannie and I think about this situation out loud, as we give you our thoughts, I'm going to ask you that you employ the principle of not taking it personal, because we don't have all of the context. You offered to email me more, and I said, hey, I believe we'll start with what we have. So give us the grace to put our thoughts out there as we move along through.
First thing isn't why did he do it? No. My first thought is you didn't just hurt me, you didn't protect me.
And so I think one of the questions I pulled out that's extremely important that Jeannie has is that, where are you on this, in this relationship? Where are you? Where are you as a person? Grief is a process, not a problem to solve. And God wants to walk through that process with you. What's up, everybody? It's Quincy Moran with Man vs. Marriage, back in the Moran family studio with my lovely wife, Jeannie Moran. Jeannie, say whatever you want to say.
Hi.
Hey. Okay, let's talk about this. We want to talk today about a Standing Outside the Frame episode with a Jill that emailed us. We're going to give you some thoughts that we have right now after doing the episode and then taking some time to digest the things that we're talking about. Why is that? In full transparency, I told Jeannie that I wish I was better so I could help better.
Okay, so email says, hi, I just found your podcast and have been enjoying it. I wanted to reach out with my situation as I could use some help. Let me preface this by saying I am not technically married, but am in a long-term committed relationship together almost 10 years. We live together, have a child together, and are engaged. It's like being married minus the title or legal benefits, I guess. I hope this won't deter you from helping. I use the term boyfriend for him as I feel the word fiance sounds pretentious. Let me jump in. Last year, I found out my boyfriend had been cheating on me for an extended period of time. I found an old phone of his, snooped, and came across text messages with prostitutes to meet up. I actually have no idea what I was looking for on his phone, but I had no indication he was cheating, and this absolutely pulled the rug out from under me. I confronted him, and he had every intention of telling him to get the F out, and I don't really talk like that. The conversation turned into a huge emotional talk where a lot came out, emotions, fears, challenges, etc. That was probably bottled up for years between us. It sounds crazy, but it was good, just under terrible conditions. It left me realizing I loved him and wanted to be with him, even though I didn't know if I could get past this. There's a million details I could get into, so to avoid writing a novel, I'll try to summarize. We started couples counseling. As a very avoidant person, I think this was really hard for him, and he backed out after 4 or 5 months. I was crushed as I felt we were somewhat making progress and working on healing. Outside of those therapy sessions, he has never brought up cheating. Despite a lot that I have shared with him, this completely feels like my burden to bear and just get over. Last year, while difficult, he seemed more different than ever and like he actually cared about me and was trying. We felt closer, and I had so much hope. In recent months, the hope has faded. To me, he seems worse than ever in terms of pushing me away, not willing to talk or work on anything, etc. I recently brought up the infidelity, and he was furious. I feel like I can't bring it up anymore, so it further prevents my healing. It's like I can't talk at all. It feels like he can't stand me. I feel stuck. I have been able to forgive him because I feel he hasn't tried. I have been unable to forgive him because I feel like he hasn't tried to fix anything, doesn't seem to show remorse or care, and honestly, I'm not positive there isn't still something going on. Just because he isn't physically meeting prostitutes at hotels anymore doesn't mean this isn't doesn't mean he isn't doing other shady things.
Mhm.
I'm still so easily triggered but cannot but because I'm not healed. I feel like a doormat, a fool for staying in all of this. We both recently started individual therapy this summer. I knew I had to do something to get myself better. I also pushed him to do something, and he came up with therapy himself. He has so many things deep down, and it's affecting everything else. He has never addressed childhood trauma, etc. And I know it's a slow process, but again, I'm trying to have hope. The bottom line is I'm running out of hope. I'm running out of ideas how to fix or work on things, and I'm running out of ways to say I'll stay through these bad things, even though it's harder and harder to find the good. If we could just get a good spot, things could be okay. Maybe I'm just dreaming at this point. I feel desperate and at my wits' end.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Jill, once again, from the bottom of my heart, I want to look in the camera and thank you for emailing us. It means the world to me. Thank you so very much for reaching out. And the number one question, let me pause there. As I get into this, and I've actually had some time, and you will see after this short piece or version of the episode, you'll see the whole episode. I'm not going to edit anything out. I want you to see just how we worked through it. But number one, something that jumps out at me after having some time to think. What made you curious to go searching through his phone? That's not a natural reaction for me. If I find Jeannie's old phone, I'm not thinking, I wonder what's in there. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but
Well, she might have, I mean, we don't know the circumstances. It might have been that he had a contact or something in his phone and she went to go get it. You never know.
I think that would have been relevant to the conversation. She said she found the phone and she got curious, so she snooped. So the reason I'm asking this leading question,
there was a telltale sign that made her do it.
What else is going on that caused you not to trust this guy? That is my number one question, and that is up to you to fill us in on, because I would like to know that. That's not a behavior, or that's not an action you take unless you have just cause. Because I'll tell you right now, if Jeannie's old phone was sitting somewhere in the room, my first inclination would not be to snoop in it to find it out. My first inclination would be,
well, you bring up a good point, because if it's an old phone, it's not even charged. Shouldn't be.
It might not be. And so my thing is, why don't you get rid of that? Not, I'm going to go snoop. So provide me some understanding, Jill, because there has to be more. There has to be more that led to this moment. That's where I'm curious. So that's likely to help educate me on your relationship as a whole. What has been going on that caused you not to trust him in this relationship? That's a big question that I have. Number two, here's what I'm going to ask you to do, Jill. I'm going to ask you to establish in writing, what are your personal values? Okay? At the Moran household, we have 10 keys to a great life. That is part of our personal value system. I may be the only person who can state all 10 of those, but the family knows
We
these
know them, we just
values.
don't know by number.
Yeah. And number one is effectively follow these rules and instructions. That is number one. Here are the 9. It's have a good attitude. That is part of our values. So if I go through, and I'll tell you what I might do is I might list them out in the email I send you. I might list them in the email I send you to give you the framework if it's necessary. Jeannie can give me some feedback, if it is necessary. But when I look at it, it talks about be kind to everybody. And then number 4 is like, if you know what's right, do it. That is part of the code of conduct at the Moran household. Does it always get followed? No. But when there is an occurrence, and even now my adult children come back to me, I say, okay, let's take what you're asking me, or let's take your actions and let's compare it to the 4th value of this home. If you know what's right, do it. If you didn't do it, it speaks for itself. There may be nuances, but it speaks for itself. Number 5, work hard every single day. Every day, whatever you're doing, work hard at it. Number 6, get better. Have some plan to improve yourself every day. Number 7, have an attitude of gratitude. You've got to have an attitude of gratitude. Number 8, you got to care about what you're doing. You just have to. And so on and so forth. Number 10 gets to the point where it's like, live, love, forgive on purpose. Number 9 is a challenge because it's no whining. And I violate that sometimes. But that's the framework of our values. Part of the other framework.
You know how many people are in there laughing right now that we actually have a rule that says no whining?
Yeah. Well, just get over yourself. That doesn't mean you can't vent, but we know venting and whining are 2 different things. And if it's a hobby, okay. If it's habitual, you got problems, and you are probably the problem. But with that being said, I want to know what your personal values are. Because if you have established your personal values, I believe those values should lead you in making the right decision. If this is the guy to stay with, if there's a promise for your future, if he's someone that's going to put in 100% of the effort, because you'll hear people say marriage is 50-50. No, it's 100-100. Now, there are circumstances in life where your spouse cannot give 100% because of a surgery, a death in the family, whatever else there may be. But you need to be 100 to support your spouse. And when you're not, he's got to be. And when he's not, you have to be. So what are your personal values? And the next thing I would ask you, do your values align with his values? And that's a question that I would like for you to answer for me. I hope this doesn't come across as accusatory. I'm a little impassioned about it. Because I really think this can help you. So please don't take my excitement as anything condemning. The next thing I want to do is I want to ask you to will you define what your needs are? Do you know what your needs are? Because it can be extremely difficult if you don't understand what they are, because now you don't even have a map for where you're going. Okay. So next, now, do you know what you need to reconcile this atrocity of your fiance hiring prostitutes and having what happens there multiple times? Do you know what you need to reconcile that within yourself? But from him, do you know what you need from him? And listen, he's either going to give that to you willingly to fix things or he's not. Now, I need you to define those needs and your needs as a whole, and then let me know what you need to reconcile these infidelities. And if you don't know, it's okay. It is okay if you don't know. Because reading the email, it sounds sort of like you're more worried of you're more worried about protecting him in order to save your relationship as opposed to working through this situation and getting yourself in a healthy spot. Um, because you're not going to fix this guy. He has to choose to fix himself. In my personal opinion, and you may not be a person of faith, you may not be a woman of faith, but it takes Jesus to change. There, I said it. It's out in the open. It takes Jesus to change. I know because it took that for me. Now, you can put some practical um you can put some practical practices in your life that will cause you to improve yourself. But as far as your deep seated intention and motivation, it takes Jesus Christ to set those things on a pure path. Okay, I'll move on. Um, I need you to get a definitive answer for us, please, for yourself, but for us to know, is this behavior continuing? You have every right to ask. And if it's not this particular behavior, are there other negative, damaging, selfish behaviors that are present in this young man's life um, that threaten your relationship and your trust? Because we need to know in order to help you. You need to know. And the last thing I'll ask in this, is I'm sorry I messed this up. Um, this goes this goes into defining what you need. So forgive me, I'm out of order here. But if we can pause for a minute, the things that you need to reconcile, do you know what that method looks like? Do you know how to implement that reconciliation? It's likely you may not. So that's something that Jeannie and I can help walk you through. And like Jeannie says in the episode you haven't seen yet,
Mm.
on the tail end of this, we have people that can help you walk through this. Um, so I think it's important to keep that in mind. Like if reconciliation is going to happen, what's the method and what's the plan? What do I need? So that should have went with that. My apologies. Now, here's the last thing I'll ask you before we sort of wrap this thing up and then give you the open air episode. What what gives him the audacity to get furious about you bringing up him hiring prostitutes while he's in a committed relationship to you? What gives him the audacity to this day to think that it's okay for him to get infuriated with you asking questions? I don't know if he's actually apologized. I don't know. I know y'all had a long talk. You said it actually turned out to be a good thing. I would like some more context to better understand what that means. But if this hasn't been dealt with, he quit on you, he quit on himself, he quit on your relationship when he stopped going to couples counseling. I don't know the reason for that either. Is it a him problem? Did the counselor suck? Because there are some counselors out there that suck. Um, but I'd like to know that as well because he quit. Why did he quit? I'm not willing to quit on my family. Why did he quit? I want to know. Um, and so if I did something to destroy my relationship with Jeannie, And she brought it up because she's still going through the pain. And I want to help her reconcile that I'm going to be a part of the solution. Now, granted, there comes a point where where reconciliation happens. If there's forgiveness, you begin in the process to reconcile, and then you have to put a pin in it where you no longer hold it against him, but that's after total restoration. That has not happened. So right now, I need to know why he quit. If you know, or if you want to give him my email address, and he can talk with me about it. Because ultimately, I'm for his good. I want him to transform. I want him to be an example to the other men in his life and men around him, that he can be a dynamic lover and leader in his household. But that's up to him. You aren't going to change him. I'm not going to change him. So those are the questions after taking some time, after doing a 48-minute episode, which you're about to get into. Those are the questions I walked away and I said, okay, Lord, what else do I need? How can I be better for Jill? How can I help her in this situation? Because I want to bring her what she's looking for. And so, with that, I'm gonna read something just really quickly. And I think it's very apropos for you. This is from a guy named Graham Cook. Like I say, Jill, I don't know if you're a woman of faith or not, but I'll tell you, this is a beautiful thing. And then we're going to wrap this and we're going to package this episode up and you are going to get it tomorrow. This is about grief. I know you have grief. This is from Graham Cook, a guy in the Christian space. What a dumb thing to say. A guy in the Christian world that writes about rest. He writes about the relationship with God. He writes about many things about connecting with God. And I want you to hear this. Please hear this for me. This is about grief. And there's a significant amount of grief, I believe, in your heart, along with other ingredients, which would be anger, betrayal, etc. But let's start here. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is from Graham Cook. Grief is a process, not a problem to solve. And God wants to walk through that process with you. I used to think grief meant something was wrong with my faith or that I wasn't trusting God enough. But I'm learning that grief is actually a form of love. It's how we honor what mattered to us. God doesn't want to fix your grief quickly or take it away immediately. He wants to be with you in it, to teach you about his heart through it, to show you his faithfulness even when life feels broken. Some of the deepest intimacy with God happens not while everything is fine, but when everything hurts and he's still there. I'm a testament to that. When joy feels impossible at his presence, when joy feels impossible and his presence is still real. When answers don't come, but comfort does. Grief teaches us things about God's nature that we can't learn any other way. His gentleness with our pain, his patience with our questions, his ability to sit in hard places without needing to explain them away. He's not trying to rush through this. He's trying to walk through it with you. He's not trying to fix your sorrow. He's trying to be your comfort in the middle of it. My goodness. Your grief has a place in your relationship with him. It doesn't make you less faithful. It makes you more human. And he loves your humanity. Graham Cook. I think that's a beautiful way to talk about it. And I know that. And it was hard for me. It was hard for me not to get incredibly emotional right now, because there are places in my life where he meets me in my grief, currently meeting me there. And he's good. And he lets me know that I am not alone. And it's not grief that Jeannie can walk through with me. This is something that I have to walk through. Even though it's a shared grief in autism, she cannot walk my path for me. I must walk it for myself. And I wanted to share that with you because there is a significant amount of grief, among other things, in your life. And I want you to be, it is my heart's desire rather than I want, for you to begin to reconcile, within you. And I believe that reconciliation, I believe it starts right now at the reading of those words. And Jeannie and I are here to walk through that with you, Jill. That's all I got. And coming up right after this short break is going to be the actual episode of Standing Outside the Frame with Jeannie and Quincy Moran and Man vs. Marriage for you, Jill. Grace and peace to you. I'm out. Welcome back to another episode of Man vs. Marriage. It is I, your humble servant, the Q Dog, in the Moran family studio with my lovely wife, Jeannie Moran. Honey, say what's up to the people.
What's up?
What is up? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get right into it today. We have a very special episode that obviously you know because you read the title. And today we're going to be doing a Standing Outside the Frame episode. And these episodes are crucial to your development, to our audience. Number one, it helps Jeannie and I grow in our craft and being able to serve you in a better way. But also, it gives you this premise. And I'm just going to take a minute to run down what Standing Outside the Frame is about. So think of this. You can have all the problems in the world. You have all these problems and you just do not know what to do. Like you're trying to figure out what the perfect decision is. Well, in comes your buddy Ted, and he's like, "Man, Quincy, I just need somebody to talk to. I've got all these problems." And as Ted starts to tell me his problems, light bulbs are going off because I can fix all of Ted's problems, but I can't fix mine. And why is that? Because to my problems, I'm emotionally connected to them. I'm deeply invested in the outcome in them. That's not to say that I don't care about Ted and his problems and the outcome, but it's different. For me, whatever decisions I make affect me and my life and my relationship personally. So this came to me. God is so good. He is so good. This came to me years ago. And I said, you know what, listener back at the time, what if I read this out loud to you? Because when I read your situation to you, it's going to be like I'm coming to you as a friend. You're going to be standing what we call outside of the frame. And when you stand outside of the frame and you hear your story being read to you, you're no longer emotionally connected to it like you once were. And that's where Jeannie and I brought up the Jack and Jill scenario. We keep the readers anonymous unless your name is Andrew and you want to come on and you want to show your face and you want to do it in an effort to show people out there that there is hope and you can overcome. And he has a great testimony, and I can't wait to bring him back. In this case, completely respect our other emailers in wanting to remain anonymous. And so, Jill, I want to thank you for emailing in. I want to thank you for making the time to download the program to listen in. Thank you that you find value in what Jeannie and I bring to the table. And there is something just really quickly as I get into this. Sorry, honey, I removed you from the stage on accident. in this, you're going to hear that Jill is not married and Jill is with her boyfriend. And she asked me if I'm still willing to help, even though she's not married. And Jill, I'm going to speak directly to you because I hope my email was, my response was taken within context. And that's when I emailed you back and I said, and I'll read my response afterwards, but just this disclaimer. Um, it's like, you've listened to me, I am pro marriage. That's me saying, the Q dog, but it's not to speak in a negative manner towards your situation. And so absolutely, we're here to help you if you're married, if you this is to all of you listeners, if you're married or if you're in a committed relationship, we're here. The heart of God is coming to help you. And so, without further ado, today I'm going to ask Jeannie to read through this. I'm going to do my best to make some notes, but we're going to get through the first version of the email. And I'll say this to you as well, Jill. As Jeannie and I think about this situation out loud, as we give you our thoughts, I'm going to ask you that you employ the principle of not taking it personal because we don't have all of the context. You offered to email me more, and I said, hey, I believe we'll start with what we have. So give us the grace to put our thoughts out there as we move along through this. And it's not going to be perfect. And I think it's one of the things that Jeannie and I both admire about Jordan Peterson when you watch him think about thoughts, because
I love watching him dismantle stuff.
he actively thinks through it like his wheels are turning. And we take that same approach. But with that, I'm going to go ahead, honey, and hand it over to you, and I'll be prepared to make some notes.
Okie doke. So here's the email. Hi, I just found your podcast and have been enjoying it. I wanted to reach out with my situation as I could use some help. Let me preface this by saying I am not technically married, but I am in a long term committed relationship. Together almost 10 years. We live together, have a child together, and are engaged. It's like being married minus the title or legal benefits, I guess. I hope this won't deter you from helping. It won't. It's a committed relationship. I use the term boyfriend for him as I feel the word fiance sounds pretentious. Let me jump in. Last year, I found out my boyfriend had been cheating on me for an extended period of time. I found an old phone of his, snooped, and came across text messages with prostitutes to meet up. I actually have no idea what I was looking for on his phone, but I had no indication he was cheating, and this absolutely pulled the rug out from under me. I confronted him and had every intention of telling him to get the F out. I don't really like to talk like that. The conversation turned into a huge emotional talk where a lot came out, emotions, fears, challenges, etc. That was probably bottled up for years between us. It sounds crazy, but it was good, just under terrible conditions. It left me realizing I loved him and wanted to be with him, even though I didn't know if I could get past this. There's a million details I could get into, so to avoid writing a novel, I'll try to summarize. We started couples counseling. As a very avoidant person, I think this was really hard for him, and he backed out after 4 to 5 months. I was crushed as I felt we were somewhat making progress and working on healing. Outside of those therapy sessions, he has never brought up the cheating. Despite a lot that I've shared with him, this completely feels like my burden to bear and to just get over. Last year, while difficult, he seemed more different than ever and like he actually cared about me and was trying. He felt closer, and I had so much hope. In recent months, the hope was faded. To me, he seems worse than ever in terms of pushing me away, not willing to talk or work on anything, etc. I recently brought up the infidelity and he was furious. I feel like I can't bring it up anymore, so it further prevents my healing. It's like I can't talk at all. It feels like he can't stand me. I feel stuck. I haven't been able to forgive him because I feel he hasn't tried to fix anything. Doesn't seem to show remorse or care, and honestly, I'm not positive there isn't still something going on. Just because he isn't physically meeting prostitutes at hotels anymore doesn't mean he isn't doing other shady things. I'm still so easily triggered because I'm not healed. I feel like a doormat and a fool for staying in all of this. We both recently started individual therapy this summer. I knew I had to go do something to get myself better. I also pushed him to do something, and he came up with therapy himself. He has so many things deep down, and it's affecting everything else. He has never addressed childhood trauma, etc. And I know it's a slow process, but again, I'm trying to have hope. The bottom line is I'm running out of hope. I'm running out of ideas how to fix or work on things, and I'm running out of ways to say I'll stay through these bad things, even though it's harder and harder to find the good. If we could just get to a good spot, things could be okay. Maybe I'm just dreaming at this point. I feel desperate and I'm at my wits' end. So that is the end of that. I have questions. So
Okay.
before she writes you another email, I have some things that I need clarified.
Do you want to hear my response? Um,
Yeah, go ahead.
okay. Okay. Jill, God bless you, sister. Thank you for reaching out to us. It takes significant courage, and I honor you. Hold on, darn glasses. Bifocal 47. I'm making light of the situation, but gadzooks, dude. Can't read sideways. I'll start over. God bless you, sister. Thank you for reaching out to us. It takes significant courage, and I honor you for that. My heart goes out to you. The experiences you've shared are devastating as I read them. That's the only wording I could come up with because it sounds devastating. It's horrible. You know me since you've listened to some episodes. You've listened to some episodes, so you know I'm pro marriage. That being said, I consider it a privilege that you would ask for help or input, and we will certainly give it our best effort. Here's a disclaimer. We aren't trained in multi-letter accredited pro. We're not. I wish I could read. Actually, we aren't trained multi-letter accredited pros, so we can only give you our opinion. Before I bring you any feedback, I would like to take some time to share this with Jeannie. Um, I want to be thoughtful and intentional. And then I asked her if we could use this on the program, and she said yes. And we emailed once or twice, you know, again, but otherwise, um, you have the meat of it, and I want to start there. And transparently, I'm at a loss, and so I'm going to look to you and your questions, honey, so I can continue to work through this a little bit because I'll tell you later what my knee jerk reaction is, but I want to bring her some value. So let's start with your questions.
Well, okay, first, before I ask any questions, there's something that I think everybody needs to understand that often gets overlooked. When a person chooses to cheat on you, they knowingly betray you. They knowingly break the vow and the trust and the commitment that they have with you. They knowingly hurt you. So for that person to then decide that it is up to you to just get over it and for them to choose when your healing is completed is wrong. That's not up to them. They have no say. You created this. You were the one who stepped out of the marriage. You caused the betrayal. You caused the pain. You don't get to tell somebody else when that pain is over or how long it's going to take to process it. Now, the fact that he's shut down and not continued to work through this issue means that she hasn't had a chance to heal. She has no closure. If you and I have an argument and it's a deep rooted hurt, if there's no closure, there is no trust. I can't trust you because you didn't allow me to get over this. You didn't allow me to process through this. You didn't allow me to heal and forgive and reconcile appropriately. So now I'm constantly living with that in the back of my head of, are you going to reopen that wound? Because you never let it close.
Mhm. It never became a scar.
No. Now a scar means that there's a process of healing.
Correct.
And a scar can be reopened. It's not something that you can guarantee will never happen again. But I have some questions on his side and hers. Number 1, he's working with prostitutes. There now this is just me talking me, okay? You're with someone who sleeps with multiple other people for money. You don't know how safe that is. Whether you use protection or not doesn't guarantee that you have taken the steps necessary to protect the other party. You brought whatever you were doing home into your marital bed. Whatever spiritual connection you had with that person, and you can deny it all you want to. I'm a firm believer that when you have an intimate relationship with someone, there is a spiritual connection that happens, and whatever they are carrying, whatever they've got going on, you have just allowed that because that is an act between two people that makes the two become one. When you become one, you share things. So, from my perspective, whatever you were mixing it up with, however multiple things you were mixing it up with, what did you bring home to our marital bed? Now, I understand that they're not married, but they're in a committed relationship of 10 years and they have a child together. That is still a commitment. That is still, you may not have exchanged vows, but it's still there,
Mhm.
in my opinion. I want to know. I want to know details. I need to know details because I need to know, did you consider me at all when you did this? And did you protect me or do I need to worry about myself? That's my first side. Second side is I because and I know people are over here going, "Oh my god," and you're not the first thing isn't why did he do it? No. My first thought is you didn't just hurt me, you didn't protect me. Me personally, my number one absolute must have with Quincy is I must feel safe and a priority at all times. He knows this. This is a vital part of my needs as a person and as his wife. He fills those two places for me. For you to step out and to go do something with someone, number one, I'm not your priority. Getting your sexual need met is your priority, which in retrospect, that should be me. That should be me. I'm the person who does that for you. That should be me. There should have been a conversation about this if you weren't getting enough or if you weren't getting what it was you were looking for in the bedroom. These are all things that are fixable in a conversation. These are all things that can be brought to the table and negotiated on what do you want in the bedroom and what do I want in the bedroom and how do we make these two things align appropriately so that we're both getting our needs met. That didn't happen. He just stepped out and went and got it.
That's okay. I'm going to push back on you right there because we do not have, there's a significant amount of context that's missing. We have what she found. I'm not justifying anything that he's done, but we don't know.
The
And
conversations prior to.
that's part of my questions as I start to unfold this. And it's questions that everybody needs to ask about their own relationship, which number one is what was your relationship like before this? What
What
were
was
your
going on? Yeah.
what were your connections? How was his engagement? How was your engagement? And I think that's a place for me to start. And there may be a lot. We may go in a bunch of different directions, but we're going to give you what we call some homework, Jill. And I would ask you to put pen to paper and ultimately, as a follow up, answer some of these questions for Jeannie and I, because I would like to know a little bit more about context. Um, what I'm not going to do, what I'm not going to do, and this is going to sound harsh, and I'm okay with it sounding harsh, is what I'm not going to do is allow someone's childhood trauma to excuse intentional bad behavior. I'm
No.
just not going to do that. Well, I'm also not going to allow, you know, childhood trauma or other trauma from other relationships, so to speak. I guess there are levels to trauma, but things that happened in other relationships to excuse intentional bad behavior in your relationship.
No, if it's intentional, it's a choice.
So if it is an act, it is intentional and it's bad behavior, and there is no letting you or anybody off the hook. There can still be forgiveness and there can still be reconciliation, which I hope we're able to walk you through.
Well, I guess we should preface this by saying, for Jill's sake, the reason that we do this way is because all of the things that I'm expressing and all the things that Quincy's expressing, more than likely, you've had some variation of these thoughts. So this is how we talk through it. This is what I'm thinking, and then Quincy usually comes in like he just did and says, "Okay, hold on, I'm going to push back because what about this?" So don't take what we're saying as this is what happened. This is what we're gaining from what you've given. And this is where our questions have led us to try to figure out what all of this is. Now, I would also like to know, same as Quincy, were there issues with you guys prior to this? Was everything fine? Were you like completely everything was good and this was just a one off that you found out about happened, years ago? How long ago was this? And is it a continued cycle? Like, was this, you've been together 10 years. Was this like year two and you found out at year nine? Like, it doesn't make a difference in the act, but it does make a difference in how long this has been swept under the rug or hidden and how long you've actually been working on it. I would have some questions as to why he quit the therapy. What did they hit on that made him feel like, okay, I'm done? Because usually in our experience, now this is us, I can't say for everybody, this has been our experience with people that we have worked with. When we're coaching with someone and we hit something that one of the people does not want to face, usually it's something where they have to own their part in something. It's not just my wife's behavior, my wife does this, this, and this, so this is why I did this. No, you can justify all you want to, but the fact of the matter is if you did the wrong, you have to own that. You have to own that, and then you have to walk the steps to reconcile it.
Mhm.
And usually when somebody pulls back, it's because they don't want to accept the fact that they have ownership in a relationship that involves 2 people going south. It's not one person. Things happen between the 2 people that lead to decisions being made and actions being had. But what was the conversation? I mean, you said you have a kid. Was the child before or after the infidelity? Do you know? Was it maybe during the pregnancy? I'm asking to try and pinpoint the timeline, and I'm also asking because I wanna know how far your trauma is. So, if nothing else comes out of this, we can maybe help you start working on your reconciliation for yourself, because the things that we deal with in someone stepping out or someone threatening to leave or the divorce being an option, things of that nature, we still want to help the individual reconcile with themselves because it causes insecurities, it causes, you know, bad thoughts, it causes you to start kind of losing your voice, it causes you to go internal. These are all things that I want to know, where are you? I want to locate you, Jill. Where are you in your journey? You said you're going through therapy, you're talking to somebody, you're working on things. Where are you on that side of things? Or are you just holding on to this thing? And I'm not saying it's not a big deal. I'm asking because I want to know about the individual. Who am I trying to help? Does that make sense, Quincy?
Yeah, it does. And to simplify it and give you a stupid cliche, when you're on the airplane and they give you all the safety instructions, they never tell you to try to put the mask on other people first. And they tell you put your mask on first, which means you are ensuring that you're going to get enough oxygen in order to help you help other people around you.
Well, and how this works for us, just so you're clear on my end of things. When someone comes to us and says, "Hey, I'm looking for help," and they give us the information, and it's a two-person relationship, you're the one who came to us. So you are the one that I'm going to focus on, because the other party hasn't said anything about wanting help or needing help or where they're sitting in this situation. So I can make all of the assumptions as to why something happened, how it happened, the thought process of the other party, but they didn't come to me. You did. So I'm trying to work through, where are you? What is it that you are looking for from us? Are you looking for us to help you? Are you looking for a way out? Are you looking for a way to reconcile? What is it that your goal is in reaching out, so that I know where we're supposed to go with this? Am I saying that right? Am I wording that correctly for you?
I I think that's correct. And to her credit, she did offer to send me more information, but I needed us to start here.
Yeah.
Um, and I just, again, I honor you, Jill, for emailing. And this is a very difficult
Yeah.
email to read. And whenever I read emails or Jeannie and I help, um, married couples or I help guys individually or whatever, I always take the mindset that there's three versions of the story: yours, his, and what actually happened. So, I do my best to keep that compartmentalized, and then I leave my judgments in what we call a parking lot. I leave it there until I can get more context. And so I think one of the questions I pulled out that's extremely important that Jeannie has is that, where are you on this in this relationship? Where are you? Where are you as a person?
Are you still fully invested? Are you kind of invested? Are you more on the outskirts, 1 foot in, 1 foot out? Are you looking for, I want to walk away, but I don't know how? Where are you, and what is the effort level that you are looking to put in for whatever place you are in? Because if you're all in and you want to reconcile, then we need both parties involved. That has to happen. If you're looking for help in just your own personal healing, that's a different scenario. He's not part of your healing. That's something that we can help you work with.
Yeah.
But that may require, depending on your situation, that may require for you to step out of the situation. So I need to know where you're at and what you're thinking. I'm not going to tell somebody to leave without knowing all of the facts. I won't do that. Unless you were being like physically abused and you came out and said he beat the crap out of you, no brainer, I'm going to tell you to get out. That's a no-brainer for me. When it comes to infidelity, that there is a huge consensus that would say get out, leave him, divorce, do this, that, and the other. And I'm not going to say that's wrong, but we do have people, believe it or not, some of them have actually helped us along our journey that have had someone in their relationship step out and they have found a way to reconcile, rebuild, start over, and have recommitted their vows to each other. So it is possible, but both parties have to be completely invested. It cannot be like you're 5% and he's 10%. It can't. It has to be a full investment because it's not an easy process. It's not going to be easy to walk through, but it is possible.
Yeah. I do have a question as well. And one of the things that I would like for you to elaborate on for us, if you still want to talk to us after this episode, is number one, he quit the counseling. So I would like to know if you are comfortable sharing what were the like high level, very high level, what were the topics discussed in counseling? Did she say how long they were counseling?
He quit after 4 to 5 months,
Okay, 4 to 5 months.
which means
For
you've uncovered something.
well, you could. I mean, there are. I think there's a number of reasons why somebody
He
would
quit.
quit counseling.
He quit. Somebody hit something on the head and he doesn't want to face it, or he felt like it was a waste of time because he wanted to just go on about his life and it's not that important to him anymore because she should have gotten over it. That's my take. I could be wrong, but you and I counseled with Rita for a year, maybe more,
Hmm.
and we still have her on speed dial if we ever have a question. We still have people that we allow to speak to us or into us as we go through our 26 years of marriage. So you never really stop counseling, especially when you're trying to fix or maintain something and keeping it from coming back and festering again. Is that I feel like I'm saying things in a certain way and it may not be coming across properly because we've had a
Like,
couple of Jills that have
try and say it again. Like as
it's
plainly say it as ugly as you have to, with the understanding that we can try and clean it up. Say it
okay. So
clean.
there when there is something that is deep rooted in a relationship, a trust issue has been broken or an infidelity situation or somebody screwed the family financially and you guys are trying to dig out of it and that's a rub for the other side. Whatever it may be, there are things that are big. It doesn't mean they don't leave a wound. It doesn't mean they don't leave a scar. So there are those things that will still come up as you go through life. There are going to be similar conversations that happen where that same feeling might come up and you start thinking, "Oh wait, are we going back to this again?" That's where we have people in place to say, okay, we're going to talk about it. And if we can't resolve this, we have somebody that we call and say, okay, this is the scenario. We talked to you guys about this recently. We had something come up and we had to go to somebody outside the marriage that we both trust and say, this is the situation. Can you think about this? Pray about it. Tell us what you think and bring it back. And they did because we just weren't seeing it the same. The point of that is therapy or counseling or mentoring, however you want to look at it, it doesn't just stop because you quit going. You're still going to have those moments in your marriage where those things are going to come up. So for him to quit, why would you quit? And then to come back now in the summertime, and then where are we on that? Are we still going? Or did he stop again? I'm not clear on that. Is he working individually? Are you guys working together? Because here's the other level to this. When Quincy and I started working on our marriage, we didn't just meet with our coach together. I met with my coach, same person, separately. And if he had something he needed to talk to about that maybe he wasn't sure how to have the conversation with me. He spoke to her separately, and then we got together. So you don't just work on each other. There's an individual aspect to this. So I want to be clear, where's the counseling? Is it just couples? Are they working on individual things? Are we just trying to get past the marriage issues, or are you working on your individual? I'm hurt, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I've got this and this going on, because sometimes it's not just the relationship issue that is continuing to keep this stuff going. Sometimes you have external factors that you're dealing with as well. Like if you're I can use the example of this previous podcast. Quincy had some really heavy things going on with work, with a couple of colleagues who passed away, with trying to work through the next phase of his job, with trying to work through some things going on at home. It was a lot and it was overwhelming for him, but it wasn't something that he would talk about. He was just going to get through it. But it took its toll on us. Now, for us, it wasn't a huge hit. It was just something that brought up old feelings that we said, okay, wait, this isn't what we want. This isn't what we agreed to. But when something like that happens, on top of this unreconciled argument, disagreement, whatever this is, whatever emotion you've got coming out of the day to day, like him being upset and you'd have to put it in your own words what you were dealing with, but him having all of those emotions came back at me. Not intentionally, but it came back at me as being disconnected, as being snappy in his attitude, as being little things pissing him off that don't normally piss him off. You know, all of those things can compound. And when you're starting to feel all the things around you in your daily, and then you have this underlying that's still sitting there, and then that pops up and rears its head, you're setting yourself up. That's like putting gasoline and a match together. It's just, you have to work on both. You can't just work on one. The individual stuff has to be dealt with the same, if not more so, than the collective.
I
Your turn.
agree with most of that.
Your turn.
And the other piece is I try to be as practical as possible about this. I have a few questions as well. Number one, is your boyfriend, do you know if he is, or do you suspect that he may be an addict of some sort?
Hmm.
Does he have an addiction, whether it's alcohol, drugs, gambling,
Sex.
or pornography? Because that's context, I think, is extremely important. I'm trying to resolve in myself. I understand when some people, I understand a little bit about why people step out on their relationship into, and like why they cheat. Okay. I don't get it, but I sort of understand it because they are looking for some type of emotional, sexual, some type of a spiritual connection that they are no longer getting in their present relationship. Now, there's a subset of people that are just bad people. Okay. I'm pushing those people to the side and I'm talking about meaningful people. So, that as far as like multiple prostitutes and violating his commitment to you. Um and I, like Jeannie said, we don't know how long this went on. We don't know how many times it happened. We we don't even know if you will ever know that. But stepping out to a prostitute to me is another level of something that's more
It's
that's
instant
that is
gratification.
very there's something underlying there. And I can't come up with what that is. So there's something there that's deeply concerning to me. It's not a moment of passion where you're not as connected, or maybe you and your wife are in a bad situation. Um, a woman somewhere shows you interest, and for 4 6 months, 2 years, 3 4 5 years, you haven't been getting that connection with your spouse. You're weak. Maybe you have too much to drink, and before you know it, you've done what you've done. That's not what this situation is.
Mm-mm.
This is intentional for whatever it is. And I don't know. I don't know if it is a part of an addiction situation. I don't know what brought it about, and I don't know the trauma. So my first question after all of this rambling I'm doing is he an addict of some sort? Because with prostitutes, there's a financial impact.
Yeah.
So I don't know what your financial situation is, but I don't know who takes care of the money. I don't know any of that. But engaging in prostitution or having sexual relationships with prostitutions, there's a deeper issue that I'm not aware of. And so that's number one: is your fiance, is your boyfriend, is he an addict of some sort? So I'll have to ask you to answer that question for me. The other question here that Jeannie posed, and I wanna emphasize is, um, and also what I asked, which is, can you give me a high level overview, just a high level view of what was covered in counseling and why he stopped? The next piece I'd like to look at, and I'm not looking to overburden you, but are you willing to provide some detail and context, or do you want to get on a call with Jeannie and I and talk through the context of what happened with this fight? You said ultimately it was a good thing, just in a terrible situation. I don't I don't know how to reconcile that within myself. Um, but I might be looking at it through my own eyes.
Well, and there's another side of this that hasn't been considered. And I don't know if she's asked him. I don't know. But if the role was reversed, would they still be together? If you had stepped out and gone looking, because, and I'm not giving you a free pass to do this, I'm just bringing up the obvious. There's an emotional disconnect here. There's a something is not healthy. You're not getting your needs met. You're not getting what you need. So what if you were to have stepped out at some point? Would he be okay with you telling him just to get over it? Would he accept that, or would it be a different standard? And I'm not asking to start a fight. I'm asking because that will tell you where the value truly lies in the relationship. For me, because if I was willing to forgive you, but you wouldn't be willing to do the same for me, that shows that I'm more invested in trying to fix things and reconcile. And you know what I'm saying? It's an uneven yoke at that point.
I don't I got to tell you, I don't for where we're at, I understand why you're asking that question, but I don't believe it's a relevant place right now because you're not going to she's not going to get an honest answer. There's no chance she's getting an honest answer here because he can say what he wants. We know that words, when these things happen, words don't matter. It's actions that matter. And so he can say, "Of course we would. I would fight for this relationship." If he said that, is of course I would forgive you, etc., etc. But he's not even fighting for the
But
relationship now.
that's my point.
What is the point?
If that was the response, then your next question is, then why aren't you fighting for this relationship and doing what needs to be done so that I can heal, we can get through this, we can get over it together, and we can move forward? Because that's the catch.
I took the bait on that. Okay.
That's the catch, because if you were to tell me, "No, of course I couldn't forgive you if you stepped out on me." Okay, cool. Here's your keys, here's your crap, there's the door, because it's a double standard. If you tell me yes, of course you would be willing to work through it. Of course you would. Okay, then why are you not giving me that effort? Why are you sitting here acting like I should be carrying the weight of this and I should just deal with it and get over it and it should be fine because it was however long ago, but you're not doing the work because I'm asking you. You betrayed me. You hurt me. So for us to move forward, I need you to do what I need to help me get over this, since that's what you're looking for, to help me to heal, to reconcile, to make this better. And if you're really wanting this relationship and you're really all in, you should be willing to do what I'm asking you to do and continue the counseling, continue the work to make it better.
That's fair. That's very fair. I always get nervous when I hear me, 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 me. But in this case, I am with you.
No, he did the damage. It's her decision how this I mean, I can use an example of people we know personally. He stepped out. It was a long marital relationship, and when they came to terms with reconciliation, their coach told them, "You made this mistake. You did the damage. You betrayed her. You will now do whatever is required if you want to save your marriage." And understand, I'm not saying you weaponize what it is that you want done. What he is saying is if she wants to go to counseling and she wants to talk it out for another year, if you really want this marriage, you're going to talk this out with her until it comes to a place where it's done. And they
I
did.
All right, here's what I'm going to say. I wholeheartedly agree with you. Let me also say this, Jill. I don't know the context around why this happened. I'm sure there's some context that matters, but I've actually got to agree with you on this wholeheartedly. You should not be the one chasing this down to fix it.
You didn't screw it up.
Your boyfriend, fiance should be. He should be taking the lead role in fixing this. And that's one of my questions, which is why isn't he? Some things are sinking in, okay? Now, here's another question that I have that I'm asking, and I'll email you back, Jill. So you're not trying to do all this at one time. And I hope that there's still grace here, okay, for us we're talking through it. Um, here's another question. This I'm going to preface this question by saying this is not because I'm pro marriage, but I would like to know a little. I'd like to have a little bit of context. Oh, we got to wrap pretty quick.
Mhm.
Um, I'd like to have some context as far as why aren't you married, and from this perspective, why did you guys get engaged? Why and when, and who did it? Who initiated the engagement? So I guess what I'm looking for is was it an ultimatum after the fight, or
Was it just to shut you up?
is it more of a pure place than that? This is what you guys came to, and then you found out about everything. So that's the why part, the why, when, and who did that. So that can give me a little more context. Now, before we wrap this particular episode up, um, there's some things that I think are the most important. These other questions that we're giving you are important, but the most important Jeannie alluded to earlier. Okay. So the plane that we're on is having turbulence and things are getting real choppy. And the flight attendants told you in the beginning of the flight, if things get crazy and the cabin pressure it dips, the masks are going to come out. So this is where I'm going to ask you, Jill, to stop trying to fix everyone around you. That's not your responsibility. Please stop chasing these people to fix things because I'm asking you to make your brokenness priority one. And that means you are putting on the mask in order to get the oxygen you need so that you can effectively help other people around you. So I would like for you to establish this. What does reconciliation look like for you and your relationship? What would that look like? Please spell it out. And then from that list, will you please create at least a handful, maybe 5 or 6 non negotiables that Jeannie and I can work with you on as a framework to say, this is where it has to be, or I am not going to move forward.
There's 2 more questions I want her to ask
Okay.
herself. I don't need the answers to it right now because these are not gonna be easy. 1, are you in a position that if your wedding was a week from now, would you be willing to stand up, take your vows, and trust that the man in front of you is really committed to those vows? Could you do it? Is it something that you would believe, or is it something that you're just going through because you've been together so long, you're engaged, you have a kid together, and this is the next step? Is it the next step, or is it really real? The other thing is you have a child. What examples are you putting forward for that child right now? I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. I don't know what the situation is. I'm asking simply because when a child is brought into a situation like this, as much as we don't like to think about it because they're kids, they don't really pay attention. Yes, they do. And whatever standards you are in and you accept for your life, they are learning right now. So when you go through this and you think about it, what is that child going to be exposed to? If you move forward and you don't reconcile this, if you move forward and you don't find the healthy path for yourself, first and foremost, what is that child going to learn? What environment is that child going to grow up in? What things are you going to have to, what traumas are you going to have to work through? And I'm not doing this to lay blame. I'm asking you to ask yourself so that when you're thinking about all of the things that you're going through and all the things that you are wanting to do or willing to do, this is where your non-negotiables come in. My non-negotiable for myself, I do not want my daughters to ever settle for somebody less than their father. Their father is the standard for the men that they should be dating, him or better. And if you can find better, more power to you. I don't believe it. But
Oh, that's sweet, honey.
for them, and they have, you can ask him, they have a set of standards for the young men in their life. And if they don't have these qualities that their dad has, and they might differ in opinion, they might differ in politics, they might have some variances. But if they don't have these key standards that their dad holds true to, and the things that he holds true to me in our relationship, they don't give him a second thought. I just want you to think about that when you're going through this process. What are you willing to accept and what damage can it cause later?
That's a good point. And the last thing, like as far as the official things go, is what are your needs? You need to clearly define those. We generally use the love languages to sort of give us a framework to identify those needs. Um, but that's where you have to help us help you so that we can provide you some additional context. Look, I feel like this episode was messy. It was challenging. Um,
In all fairness, it's the first time that we've seen the email and actually discussed it. So this is an open discussion for us.
well, actually that's not true because I had you read it and we talked about it a bit, and then I
Not
brought.
like this, we didn't.
No, of course we brought it to the show in order that we can talk about it like this, and then once this episode is over, we can finalize some dialogue between us, continue, to talk about it, and then she can bring us back some information, and then we can help her moving forward, and we can bring that back to the show and help the listeners. So I think Jeannie has challenged you in a great way, which is what standard are you willing to accept as a role model and as an example for your child in the future of their relationship?
And do you think that going into a marriage the way you are, is it really a marriage? Is it true to what those vows would be? We went into our marriage with an idea of what it looked like. Now, we didn't stick to that standard. We had some hiccups along the way, but we went in agreeing that those vows are sacred. Those vows mean something. Can you honestly stand across from this man and believe that those vows would be sacred on both sides of the coin?
Yeah, and I'm going to say based on what I know, the answer is no. But there's a lot I don't know. So um, here's what I'm going to do, Jill. We didn't talk about if you were a woman of faith or what, but I'm definitely going to pray for you. We're going to wrap this up. I'm going to pray for this situation because it's heavy on me, and I want to be able to help you through this. And yes, Jeannie and I are open to talk to you or to talk to you and your boyfriend. We'll do both. But let me just pray for you right now. Father, I thank you so much for your faithfulness, and thank you for your anointing. Thank you for your love and your intentionality towards us as your children. And Father, I just pray for Jill right now in her situation, Lord. She is got some deep-seated pain, the pain of betrayal, the broken trust. And Lord, I just pray that you would meet her in this moment. Please don't wait for the podcast to air, but meet her in this moment, Lord, and begin the process of reconciliation, Lord. I pray for her child, and her boyfriend. And Lord, I pray that the spirit of reconciliation would be upon their household, if they are willing, and if it is your will. I pray for their child, Lord. I don't know if it's a young boy or a young girl, but Lord, I just pray that your love would be fostered in the heart of that child. And then, Father, for her boyfriend, I pray for freedom. I pray for reconciliation. I pray for openness. And I pray, Lord, that you would rise up in this man and that he would begin the process to be a reconciled man, both to you and to his family. Lord, I pray for peace and grace to be in and upon their household, for health and healing. And I pray that your goodness, Lord, would surround them. You are the author of reconciliation, Father, the ultimate reconciler. And so I pray for them. I thank you, Lord, for your healing hands and your anointing that is flowing to this home. And I pray these things on behalf of Jill and her relationship. I pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen. It's a heavy one. Any final thoughts, honey?
No, I think that's enough for now. Until we get more information and we can touch base with Jill, we need to leave it where it's at.
You got it. Listeners, Jill and the listeners, we appreciate your unspoken grace as we work through this on your behalf. We thank you for reaching out. And again, thank you for listening to the program. And until next time, she is Jeannie Moran. I am Quincy Moran, and this is Man vs. Marriage, the podcast.